Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studios today by Ray Ora.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Jonathan Voico.
Hey, guys.
Chris Carr is here.
Hello, everybody.
But most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show a part of your day. And here's how our show goes. We're going to start off by talking about a few topics we've got lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, or question that you'd like us to address, go ahead and fire it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. When we get to the second part of the show, we'll start addressing those as long as we deem it an appropriate question to address on the show. We'll answer it. And by the way, the good news about the tip link is that it's good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So even if you're not watching the show live right now, maybe you're listening to our podcast feed on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcasting app of choice, or maybe you're watching our show a little bit later in the day when we're not live, you can still use the tip link, fire in a question, and we'll just get around to answering it on our next episode. All right, guys. Hey, I'm going to take a second here and remind you guys again that it is that time of year. We have started our annual Adopt a Family campaign. We have put up a Amazon wish list. This year we have a single mother with 3 children, 3, 11, and 15. And we have put together a wish list, if you will. You'll find the link down in the description of this video. And when you go there, you can buy something that we can add to the gifts we're bringing over. You see, we got Amazon gift cards there. Their kids love to read, so we put in some Barnes & Noble's gift cards. There's all about things. We just announced this yesterday. Over 100 of you guys have already bought some things for us to give the family, but you can see there's still a bunch of things on the list that would be great if you guys can participate. Go on in there and buy those, and we will take those in the next week or so once everything arrives and Anne and Anne's mom wrap everything all up, and we're going to take it all over to the family, and you guys are going to give them and their family a Christmas that they deserve to have. So any help you guys can give would be absolutely awesome. All right. With that down, guys, let's get things started with this. There have been some horrible tragedies that happen in like pop culture, you know, whether it's cherry Coke, awful, terrible thing. People putting ketchup on eggs, awful.
Oh, here we go.
Terrible thing.
I stopped listening.
And then,
It's delicious.
and then there was the Acolyte.
Okay.
A show,
Okay.
a show that I was so excited for like a couple of years. The concept of it was so good. I loved the casting. And then we got what we got, which was not so good. I ultimately had to kind of tap out of it before the ending of it. It was just too brutally difficult to watch. It was just so poorly done. Anyway, surprisingly though, and this is the beautiful thing about art. Art hits us all in different ways. And there were fans of the show. There were people who legitimately liked it. And a lot of those people began a big online campaign to save the Acolyte and bring back an Acolyte season 2. And well, it's not just them, because even one of the stars of the show, Manny Jacinto, who was also in that wonderful show, The Good Place, and is Filipino, so that makes him popular around my house. Even he is now kind of suggesting that the Acolyte could return, and they may have a broader Darth Plagueis kind of storyline in mind. This is what he said. He said there was definitely going to be more of Darth Plagueis in the second, if not the third seasons of the show. But I just can't say because, you know, we could come back. Jacinto, whose Sith Lord character pretended to be a smuggler named Khmer for most of the series, said during an appearance at a fan expo in San Francisco, "I don't want to spoil anything or give anybody any false hope, but I would just say that there was a lot more to explore." As a matter of fact, talking about the connection between his character and Darth Plagueis, he said, "They're not connected. They're definitely not. Oh man, how do I answer that? What time is it? There are definitely a lot of different theories like who he is, because we never actually know his true identity. Is Khmer's name actually Khmer? We definitely want to explore it." All right. So, just to be clear, this is not any kind of an official confirmation that the Acolyte is coming back. This is just one of the actors saying, who apparently believes there is a chance that the show does come back. He's saying, look, I don't even want to tell you where the story was going to go because we may come back. And Darth Plagueis is a part of that story. And Campea isn't just a guy who just also happened to be a Sith. We don't actually know his real identity. Does he end up being somebody else in Star Wars canon or lore? And the bigger question is, will we find out? Okay. How would I feel if tomorrow they were to announce that they were going to do an Acolyte season 2? I would be fine with it. And I'll tell you why. Rush Hour has taught me that just because the first thing is terrible doesn't mean the second thing can't be good.
You don't like the first Rush Hour?
I hate the first Rush Hour.
What?
You have some real weird takes today,
I
man.
hate the first Rush Hour.
Cherry Cola, Rush Hour, come on.
I hated the first Rush Hour.
Yeah.
But the second Rush Hour
Is really good.
I thought was
It's
really
wonderful.
good. The first Star Trek movie, garbage. The second
Somewhere while I'm
Star Trek movie, Wrath of Khan,
Very good.
brilliant. Right? So don't be confused. I really hated the Acolyte.
Grease, awful. Grease,
Grease
2.
Chef's kiss.
Come on.
Grease
So
2.
good.
But I'm just saying that the premise was so good and the conceit of the story was so promising that if they did decide to take a second swing at the bat, I'd be down for giving it a shot, and hopefully they make it better. They Wrath of Khan it.
I mean, it would be under a new regime. It'd be under a
Yeah.
new policy, and they would have a showrunner.
They'd have
and
a showrunner.
it'd be a different style of creating the format.
Yeah. So now look, do I actually think they're going to do a second season? No, I don't. Do I believe there are people talking about maybe doing a second? I believe those conversations are probably happening in the halls of Lucasfilm and Disney. Yeah, I would believe those conversations are happening. I just don't believe it's actually going to happen. I'm just saying that if they did it, would I greenlight it as an executive? No. As just a viewer, if they were to take a swing at it, would I give it a shot? Yes, just to see, because the basic idea is so good that hopefully they'd be able to execute better the second time around. But I wouldn't have a lot of hope. Anyway, Chris, you hear Manny's comments here.
Yeah.
What do you think about what he said? Do you think there could be a legitimate chance for Acolyte to return? Would you be okay with the Acolyte return? I don't know. What would you think about that?
If anyone's going to say this is going to get a season 2, it's going to be Manny Jacinto because he is the reason why we would get a season 2.
Yeah, that's
Because
true.
if you held on for the finale of that show, it was, oh, now things are starting to get interesting. For me, at least, I really don't care about this twin thing. We all knew they were one person at the beginning. It wasn't that big of a reveal to me. It was like, yeah, obviously, there's some midichlorian nonsense happening here. I don't
Right.
know. But all the stuff with him was really, really fascinating. And we started to delve into why were these girls created? What is their purpose? What is going to happen? Blah, 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 blah. We got so interesting at that 8-episode mark, basically. And also, hi.
Sith Bay.
Yeah, he's Sith Bay. Stop making the Sith so cute and I won't want to be evil. Okay?
He's like, just kiss me, you fool.
Exactly. Don't make all the Sith like thirst traps and then maybe we'll root for the Jedi. I don't know. But I don't see this getting a season 2 just because of how it was just critically lambasted. People did not like this. They were not happy with it. There's just things that I think that maybe Star Wars as a whole for their television series and moving forward or forever back on the big screen can maybe do some cafeteria Catholicism, if you will. Let's pick and choose what things we like. Let's pick and choose what we want to keep. And that could be some of the things that we started to talk about in here. Because I don't think you're going to have that big reveal of, Darth Plagueis, excuse me, there and not do anything with that ever again, right? Why was he there? What is happening? What is the part of this little peer out of a cave moment? And I'm not as familiar with this character because I know we had the reference in the prequels, but I never read the novels. So I don't know much about this guy aside from his, relationship to Palpatine and, the Sith the Wise, or the Plagueis the Wise is what they call him. So I would have loved to get more of this. But I don't feel like we're going to get more of this in the Acolyte. I think we'll get more of those kinds of things in some other kind of Star Wars packaging.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, look, and there's a possibility that maybe they don't do an Acolyte season 2, but they do bring back Manny Jacinto
Right.
as the character and maybe have him play a role in another show.
He was amazing.
Right.
I thought he was quite good. Listen, other than the woman, and I can't remember her name, who played like the main Jedi back at the temple, the boss Jedi.
Yeah.
Mm.
I thought all the
Venestra or
yeah, something like that. She wasn't good. And she was in Russian Dolls. And
Oh.
and she was anyway, she's a good actress, but I didn't like her performance in that at all. But I liked all the other performances. I thought all the other performances were perfectly good and perfectly fine. It's just that
Oh,
The sto-
Venestra Rowe. But
the story
Okay.
was so bad and so many major logic holes. And so
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, why would he do that if he'd already did this?
Yeah.
Like just so much of that it became eye-gougingly annoying. And I couldn't hang in there with it. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about Manny's comments here? Saying, listen, I can't tell you where we were going to go because we may come back. What? Really? There are a lot of people out there who'd be very happy about it. Listen, just because I hated it doesn't mean you need to hate it. I mean, there's a bunch of people out there who really enjoyed the show. And if it comes back, I'd be super happy for you. But whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, even before Endgame, it's not like everything Marvel did and touched turned to gold. I mean, they had a couple of struggles here and there. Like, listen, you make 24, however many movies they had by Endgame, whether that was movie 21, 22, 23, I can't remember. But when you make that many movies, of course you're going to have some bumps along the road, right? One of the most famous ones is Edgar Wright was supposed to do Ant-Man. And that never materialized. Now, I thought we still got a very, very good Ant-Man with that Peyton Reed did. I really liked that first Ant-Man movie. But, you know, that happened. We got Iron Man 2. We got Thor 2. You know, not everything prior to that. And there was the Inhumans. The Disney was going to do the Inhumans. It was on their big, you know, their big timeline chart, Inhumans. And then, you know, there was that whole battle between Kevin Feige on the movie side and Ike Perlmutter on the television side. And Kevin Feige was like, I have nothing to do with anything they're doing on television. That Inhumans, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., none of that has anything to do with me. And he kind of separated himself from that. So there was that Inhumans thing that never went anywhere. I still remember going to the movie theater to watch the first couple of episodes of Inhumans, all excited to see it because they were showing it in theaters first. Oh, to quote Chris Carr, woof. It was so bad. So horribly bad. Despite the fact that they amassed a really good cast.
Yeah, Ramsey Bolton in there.
Yeah, they actually put together a very good cast. And it was just horrible. Now, post-Endgame, they tried to pull together another team, Eternals. A movie that, frankly, I like more every time I watch it. I don't think it's a top shelf Marvel film by any stretch of the imagination. I think it's a very underappreciated film. I think it was very different for a Marvel film. I really enjoyed it, but you can't deny that it was also one of Marvel's first real whoopsies when it came to the box office. Like, ooh, not many people went to go see that. Ray, I think it was 400 something million. Can you look up what the Eternals got there?
Sure.
I think it was like 400 something million. Anyway, I thought it was really good though. And it even ended with like the Eternals will return. Remember they put that little thing up on the screen?
Yep.
Yeah, it made 402.
$402 million. So basically a Black Adam. Woof.
Opening was 71 million. So
Yeah, not super great. I mean, a solid opening, but not super great. And like until Captain America 4 came along, we still had that whole matter of a celestial named Tiamat still kind of hanging out in the ocean that nobody ever even referenced. At any rate, or that a giant celestial appeared in the sky, and with Ersham the judge saying, "I will return for judgment." I'm sure it's fine. Nobody ever mentioned it again. So anyway, so a lot of people have kind of thought, for good reason, that Inhumans and the Eternals were just gone bye-bye. Well, maybe not. Because Kevin Feige had some interesting comments to say. This comes to us It says, during an interview with Cinepop promoting Marvel Studios' upcoming slate, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige offered fans a surprisingly optimistic update on the prospects of the Eternals and Inhumans being brought back into the fold in the MCU. Kevin Feige said the following: "We're very proud of Eternals, and that cast was incredible. We'd be lucky to get any of them back at some point. And Inhumans, you know, we had a cameo of Black Bolt in Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness, and we'll see where, if, and when they return," Feige teased. Now look, this statement is far from any kind of official confirmation that Eternals or the Inhumans are about to be back in the MCU. But it is at least the first time we've had Feige acknowledge them in a while and kind of even offer up the option that they may come back at some point. Now, look, there is also a way of looking at this of Kevin Feige just kind of hedging his bets and saying, like deep down, I know, like a 5-year-old bratty kid goes, I want to go back to Disneyland. You know you're never going back to Disneyland. Maybe someday, Jimmy. Like maybe Kevin Feige knows full well they're never going to touch Inhumans or Eternals again. And he's just saying, oh, you never know, everybody. But that doesn't seem to be part of Kevin Feige's makeup. He doesn't seem to do that often. And if he's saying that, look, there is still a possibility we could look at having Eternals and Inhumans again, that doesn't necessarily mean it will happen. But I believe if he's saying that, that to me means he has had some talks, or there has been discussions, or there have been proposals, or there have been pitches, or there's things he's still looking at. For me, I'm 50-50 on this. On the one hand, I would love to see more of the Eternals. I loved the characters. I really did. I thought the characters were, I mean, to have more of Druig and who is the speedster? Makari?
Makari.
I want more of them. Like they're only one of 3 romantic relationships in comic book movies I've ever liked. Like there was like Peter and not even MJ, Peter and Gwen in The Amazing Spider-Man. I thought Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone's chemistry was fabulous. Tony and Pepper, love that one. Pretty much all the rest of them can go to hell. The only other romantic relationship I really liked in comic book movies is Druig and Makari. I want more of that. But I also loved all the other characters. So I would love to see more Eternals. Not so much the Inhumans. Like the Inhumans was so bad that it's left an unremovable scar on my taste buds. I can never get beyond that. But the other thing is this. With the X-Men coming, there's really no need for the Inhumans. The Inhumans were almost in a way a mutant replacement is kind of how they were treated. A mutant substitute, mutant light, if you will. And so narratively, I see no purpose for Inhumans. Legacy-wise, it's such a bad taste in my mouth what they tried to do with them before. Even though it was cool seeing Black Bolt pop up in Multiverse. That was kind of cool. But yeah, I would love to see Eternals, not so much Inhumans. Anyway, Chris, what do you make of Kevin Feige's comments? And would you want to see either Eternals or Inhumans or both or neither return?
This has that very big fixin' energy to me. We're fixing to get the Eternals and the Inhumans back in here. And yeah, Kirkland X-Men is kind of how the Inhumans felt. Like what I could go get at Costco. And it wasn't executed well. In the comics, the Inhumans, don't get me wrong, there's some really cool stories with them. There's some really interesting stuff. Some of the things just don't translate particularly well to film, I don't think. And they need some real work to make it actually work on screen. And I feel like this was kind of spaghetti at the wall when we did the television series of just, let's try some stuff out. And it didn't work. I would really like, honestly, to have the Eternals come back. I enjoyed that movie. I know it's not for everyone. I know a lot of people found it very polarizing, but I liked it.
Yeah, me too.
And we still, again, just like we just talked about with the Acolyte, there's still some threads there that we need to tie up, right? So I think you have to include them to some degree so that the universe makes sense. Because right now, well, I can intellectually understand how the people of Earth are like, oh my God, and now there's some weird deity coming out of the ocean. I've had it. I've got superhero fatigue because I can't deal with this real world shit. I understand narratively that could happen. But I do think people of Earth would be very concerned about all the things that have still happened to their planet and haven't been dealt with. So I feel like these really big builds that we've had that came to no conclusion whatsoever, you have to address. So that means we do have to at least talk about the Eternals. We have to have them show up in other people's properties. Do I think they'll get their own movie again? Maybe not. I'd like them to, but I don't think the majority of folks do. So maybe we'll have them peppered into other shows, other team-ups in movies, that sort of thing. And the Inhumans, they can show up when they want, but I feel like the better move is to sort out your mutant situation and figure that out before then you start talking about these people who have this weird mist that can then give them powers.
Trigger
and they've
latent
lived on the
genes
moon.
that gives us your powers. Like so
Exactly.
X-Men, so mutants.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Do you think Kevin Feige, I mean, who just kind of brought them up, do you think there are serious thoughts about bringing back the Eternals and the Inhumans? Is there one you'd like to see back? Maybe both, maybe neither. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we still got to talk about this new trailer that just dropped for a new Woody Harrelson Simu Liu film called Last Breath that frankly looks pretty darn good. And also, Star Wars Skeleton Crew dropped the first couple of episodes last night. What did we think about it? Well, we're going to talk about that and a few things more. But before we do, we're going to take a couple seconds to thank a couple of sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Manscaped and Aura Frames. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Manscaped. Guys, with the holidays creeping up faster than you can imagine, I've got something jolly to share with you. If you want to look sharp for all those festive gatherings and maybe finally win that Best Groomed at the Family Dinner Award, check out Manscaped's latest masterpiece, the Chairman Pro Package. Trust me, it's like Rudolph for your face, guiding you to a smooth, irritation-free shave. So let's talk about the main star here, the Chairman Pro Electric Foil Shaver. This shaver comes with two skin-safe blade heads. There's the 4-blade foil for that clean, close shave, and a stubble trimmer if you're keeping a bit of that rugged look. Guys, this thing has Flex Adjust technology, so it adapts to the contours of your face and neck, giving you a smooth shave without the irritation. And yes, it's waterproof, so you can use it right in the shower, no mess. They've also included Power Shave Gel, which makes every shave glide smoothly and the face shave smoother to keep your skin calm, hydrated, and free from razor bumps. So if you're ready to upgrade your grooming game, head over to manscaped.com and use my code CAMPEA to get 20% off plus free shipping. That's manscaped.com using the code CAMPEA. Your face deserves this level of care. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Aura. Let's be honest, what most people really want for the holidays is to see their favorite people more often. That's why this year, the best gift you can give, besides plane tickets, is an Aura digital picture frame. Named the #1 digital photo frame by Wirecutter, Aura frames are incredibly smart and easy to use, allowing you to upload unlimited photos and videos directly from your phone to the frame. Plus, you can order the frame online and preload it with photos and videos using the Aura app, so it's ready to go right out of the box. Ann and I have had ours for a while now, and we absolutely love it. Because you may not know, Ann and I like to take a lot of pictures, including a lot of our dogs, Ann's recent trip to Paris, and a whole bunch of other things. And we love having it right on display right there in our living room. So save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get 35% off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames by using promo code Campea at checkout. That's AURA frames.com, promo code Campea. This deal is exclusive to listeners, so get yours now in time for the holidays. Terms and conditions apply. And thank you to our friends at Manscaped and Aura Frames for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this. Some of you may have heard of that documentary that came out 2018, 2019 called Last Breath. Well, kind of like how Lights Out took a YouTube short film made by a guy and then turned it into a major motion picture, also directed and written by that same guy. That's happened as well. And the trailer for this movie, Last Breath, just dropped. And here's what we know about it. This comes to us from IndieWire, who writes the following. They say the harrowing 2019 documentary Last Breath is now getting its fictionalized treatment, with filmmaker Alex Parkinson returning to helm the star-studded adaptation. Last Breath, which is directed by Parkinson and co-written by Parkinson, David Brooks, and Mitchell LaFontaine, star Woody Harrelson as a deep-sea diver who is tasked with saving his crewmate Simu Liu after he becomes untethered with only 5 minutes of oxygen left. The official synopsis reads, Last Breath is a heart-pounding film that follows seasoned deep-sea divers as they battle the raging elements to rescue their crewmate trapped hundreds of feet below the ocean's surface. Based on a true story, Last Breath is an electrifying story about teamwork, resilience, and a race against time to do the impossible. All right, so the trailer for this dropped today. Again, Woody Harrelson, Simu Liu, two guys that I really like. And I loved it. I loved the trailer. And because you know how I knew I loved it? I realized when I was watching it, a good section of the trailer, I realized I haven't breathed in about 30 seconds.
It was your last breath.
Yeah, I was just like, I was like literally, it's tension, holding my breath, like, and the whole idea about, oh God, no, oh God, no. Like when a trailer or a story premise sets up something that you're fucked, like that, situations like that, like instantly captivate me. It's like, how do they get out of this? And the tension sent, even just in something as short as a trailer, it felt tangible and real and stressful and oh my God. And yeah, when I finally realized I wasn't breathing, I'm like, and then got back to breathing. Again, it's good to see Simu Liu in some things. Obviously he's done Barbie and a couple of other things as well, but good Canadian kid. Always good to see that. I think this looked great. I loved what I saw. Chris, you had a chance to see the trailer. What did you think?
Oh, I think it's amazing. I'm going to be so uncomfortable in this movie because it's so many of my fears crushed into one.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Someone gets an eye gouged out, I'm going to pass out. It's going to be great. It's going to absolutely activate my fear of small spaces, my fear of drowning. Oh, delightful. I want more things to have Simu Liu in them. I think he's wonderful. I think he's so great. I think he's such a tremendous actor. And since we're waiting 1,000 years to get the next Shang-Chi, he should be in every movie as far as I'm concerned. Right? He has so much time. He's been doing Dragon's Den. Like what?
Yeah.
What's been going on? And he's delightful on that show, I will say. He's a great voice of reason and I really enjoy him. A lot of the dragons are out of touch. But I think this looks really wonderful. Woody Harrelson is such a tremendous actor as well.
Yeah.
This seems like it's going to be such a intense and riveting story. And the fact that it's based on an actual experience is wild. So I'm here for it. It's going to be so uncomfortable.
And then the dialogue between him and the crewmate before, like the bungee snaps.
Yeah.
He was so calm. I thought he did that.
Yeah, it
part
was
perfect.
very reassuring.
No, it was just like, okay, I felt it. I felt
Yeah, so
feelings
did I.
in this trailer. Everyone knows I'm terrified of the ocean, but I love this trailer. I'm going to see this on the first day it comes out. I mean,
Yeah, me
it's
too.
So I take it it's a rescue. The rescuer gets, we lose Simu Liu too, right? It feels like they lose.
Well, remember, this is a documentary.
Right.
Like, and I'm aware of the documentary. I've never honestly seen the documentary. I am now absolutely going to go watch the documentary.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
now that
definitely.
this thing's coming out,
That's a
I'm
great idea.
absolutely going to watch the documentary. But you know what it reminded me of? Because you're talking about you're afraid of the ocean. I feel bad that I don't know the name of it, but there's a very popular YouTube channel of this guy who just talks about animals. And he's hilarious. You've probably seen him. He's the guy who's always just down in the bottom corner holding a little microphone, and he talks about different animals, and he's such a good orator. Like, he's so good with his words. Like, this bear will murk you for life, and blah, blah, blah. And just go, I don't know if any of you guys in the live
He's
chat
great.
know the YouTube channel I'm talking about. Please put up the name of the YouTube channel, because this guy's amazing. He's such a good writer when he does the stuff. But anyway, this guy is always talking about, like, oh, fuck the ocean.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fuck the ocean.
Heck
Like,
yeah.
He goes, I'll never go anywhere near the ocean, all that kind of stuff. Somebody's saying the guy's name is Brian Fellows. Oh, that's Matt. Matt's in the live chat.
Okay.
Is that? Oh no, Casual Geographic. That's it.
That's
That's
a
a really
great
good one.
name.
Yeah, Casual Geographic. If you haven't seen this guy's YouTube channel, you should. They're super informative and they're great. But this guy's writing, the way he writes, and he always is just a little guy down in the corner holding his microphone and just talking. And oh my God, he's so good and fun to listen to, but you should. But anyway, he knows, he's a huge animal lover, loves everything. But whenever it comes to the ocean, it's like, no, fuck the ocean.
But does he
I'll
cover
never go into the ocean.
Does he cover animals in the ocean though?
Sometimes, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll
If
talk
that-
about certain type of sea life.
If that is up your street, do you watch Dropout TV at all? There's this great show called Smarty Pants, and it's power presentations on just ridiculous topics. And Zach Reno is this great improviser and comedian. He does a presentation on why the ocean sucks, and it's just like, this is a dangerous, horrible place that we need to stop going to.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
See what happens
wonderful.
in this trailer. That's
and
what
that's
happens.
what this
Yeah,
trailer made
yeah.
me think of, was all those things. It's like,
Exactly.
you know, it's funny because I was born in a sea town. Like I was born in Halifax, Nova Scotia, which like basically like I had uncles who were just fishermen, and I remember going out on the boats with them when they would go squid fishing, and they'd literally pull up things. And I still remember as a kid the first time I'm like in one of the boats with my uncle Surrey and like pulling up stuff, and then all of a sudden like, what's that? Oh, those are sharks.
Oh,
I'm like, what? Oh yeah, because they're attracted by all this. I'm like, yeah, no, I've never been much of an ocean person since then.
why are the most delicious things in the ocean in the parts that we can't see? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why can't king crab be right there in like where
They just like they gotta
Why
go
can't
deep.
they just walk up on the shore
Like,
and
you
walk
know-
right into the restaurant?
Right onto my plate.
I have nothing against water as long as it's clear and I can see what I'm stepping
It's
on.
like a pool.
Right. So why can't crabs just go there?
Why can't
I'm
they
just saying. And Matt sucks too.
That sucks too. I remember this one. Ann and I went. I was in Prince Edward Island, Canada, and we did a deep sea fishing expedition. You know, you get on this boat and you go deep sea fishing, and
no.
you can catch tuna and stuff like that. It was actually pretty fun, but it's really wild because you see these whales come up, and all I could ever think about is, what if accidentally a whale doesn't realize you're there and just comes up under your boat and capsizes your boat? There was a viral video going around on YouTube the other day of that finally happened. Like a whales jump out of the water.
Oh, yeah,
But it
that
jumped
was-
out and accidentally came on the backside of a boat and
Yeah.
flipped the boat right over.
Capsized
And
it.
all the other boats are like, nope.
Nothing's an accident with whales. It's because they love you, John.
They love you. They just
We
want
watch
you to
our
get in the
show,
water.
John.
Oh my God. Anyway, all these things went through my head watching the trailer for Last Breath. And I'm going to go see it. Guys, question is for you. Did you have a chance to see this trailer? If so, did it elicit all sorts of deep hidden fears you have about anything, especially the ocean? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Star Wars Skeleton Crew came out. It's a show, I should say, that I've had great promise for, because main thing, John Watts is running it. He's the guy who directed Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, and Spider-Man No Way Home. You got the Academy Award winning directors, the Daniels, who did Everything Ever All at Once directing. You got Bryce Dallas Howard directing. You got all this kind of stuff left up. And the whole promise that the show is a 1980s Goonies or Amblin Entertainment movie set in the world of Star Wars. That has me sold right away. I love the trailers. I thought they were fantastic. But I also felt all of those things for the Acolyte. And we know how that turned out. So it was great, with great enthusiasm and some trepidation, that I sat down last night to watch the first couple of episodes of Skeleton Crew. Now, the first reactions came out of a fan screening, and the fans seem to love it. That's good. The full reviews are now out, and as of right now, it's got a 94%, which is great. So what did I think of Star Wars Skeleton Crew? As somebody who's been thoroughly disappointed with so much Star Wars television. Book of Boba Fett, gag. Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, Acolyte, Can Skeleton Crew turn the ship around? It does. I loved the first 2 episodes of Skeleton Crew. Loved it. It was everything I wanted it to be. Now, I will say this once. There have been a couple of other Star Wars shows that I also thought started well and then got terrible later on. And I acknowledge that could happen. That absolutely could happen with Skeleton Crew as well. But that being said, God, I loved this. I loved this so much. I was smiling the entire way through. Big gripe, episode 2 was like 24 minutes long.
Really short, yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah, I have a feeling that might be the case too.
Yeah.
Like the first episode was like 49 minutes, like, which is great. But anyway, we'll put that aside for a second. I was grinning ear to ear the entire way through. And one of the things that when one of the trailers dropped for it, when it showed like they were on a world that was very kind of futuristic Earth-like, right? With suburbs and whatever. And I remember thinking to myself, well, you know what? In the galaxy as vast as Star Wars, why wouldn't you have worlds? Some worlds that are just like that. Some worlds that look like Tatooine. Some worlds that look like Coruscant. And why not some worlds that look like suburbs of St. Louis?
Mm-hmm.
Why not? But as I'm watching the show, Kristen, I don't know if you felt the same way. As I'm watching the show in the first, like, especially 20 minutes, I remember thinking, one of their goals in here is to recapture that feeling of those 80s Spielberg, 80s Amblin Entertainment films. And I thought, you know what? If it didn't feel familiar, like the environments they're in, maybe that magic wouldn't have hit as much. I felt like having a city street and a neighborhood and, kids walking to their school bus. If that wasn't there, it wouldn't have as effectively captured that 1980s Amblin feel to me. And so it won me over immediately, while then working in the very Star Wars nature of it with the droids and all that kind of stuff. The part that me and my buddy Ryan were watching it last night, and that part, first of all, when they're flying out of orbit into space, and they're there, and you're like, oh shit, like these kids, oh no. And they're like, whoa. And then the ship starts to go into hyperspace to make it like 10 times worse. I started laughing my ass off. I thought that was so great. I love the opening of it. That was clearly an homage to the opening of the original Star Wars, right? Everything right down to, if this is a consular ship, where is the ambassador?
Yeah, I got that too.
Right? They even put that in that was obviously on purpose, and they did that. So I love that they had those big homages to the original Star Wars as well. And then it's essentially, this is a pirate story. So it's Goonies. It's essentially, and we meet One-Eyed Willie very early in Jude Law. And then when they get to the spaceport and like, I felt, I saw another outlet write, it's so great that we have Andor and a show like Skeleton Crew at the same time. Because Andor gives me something else. Andor, I think, is the greatest thing that Star Wars has ever done since Return of the Jedi. But that gives me something else. This pure, unadulterated joy. I just felt, it made me feel wonderful. And then when the second episode ended, besides getting over the shock of how short the episode was, but by the time the second episode ended, I'm like, I'm hooked. I'm on board. I love Neil. I love all the kids. I love the main kid's dad. Like, the kid's dad seems like a very relatable dad. Like, he clearly loves his kid. He's concerned about his kid, but he's also a very modern dad.
He's
like
a
very
single
busy.
dad who works too hard, who loves his kid and never stops.
Yeah, and it just doesn't know what to
Space
do.
Reba.
And then you meet Neil's family, and Neil's family is adorable, and like the kid, like the main girl, the biker girl,
Fern.
She is. What is the name of the actor who did the voice of Rodimus Prime, and he was in Breakfast Club?
Judd Nelson.
Judd Nelson. She's the Judd Nelson of Breakfast Club of this group. That's what she is.
Yeah.
And I just, my heart was full. Now, again, I'm acknowledging, like other Star Wars shows that started strong and then went right to the shitter, that could happen here too. I know it could. But right now, all I've got to base it on is the two I've seen. And the two I've seen made me very happy. I loved watching these. Anne was out last night with a friend of ours, so I cannot wait to sit down with her and watch it again while she watches it for the first time. Anyway, Chris, I know you've been just as excited for this show as I have been.
About this.
How did you feel about watching the first two episodes?
I freaking loved it. Oh my gosh, the soundtrack, like the score of this, is so 80s. It's so glorious. Their weird little space suburb is so wonderful, but also just off enough that you do go, what's the deal with this place?
Yeah.
What's going on here? In kind of the same way that almost Tim Burton would deal with like Burbank suburbs in his things, where it's almost a little too cookie cutter, where you go, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
I love all these kids.
I think where John, just on the point of the suburbs, John was talking about, it feels like 80s and a little bit of like Spielberg. Like there were definitely nods to like E.T. So when he's playing with the little action figures,
Yeah.
well, Elliot did that, and then also I think that neighborhood kind of mirrors the neighborhood in E.T.
Exactly. And the
So-
whole biking scene too.
Yeah,
It's just very Elliot
Stranger
coded.
Things did the same thing with that season 1. You're like, that's just like Chief Brody's truck.
Yeah.
You know.
Which is awesome. And it makes
Yeah.
you, again, like you guys were saying, it makes it feel familiar, which instantly puts you in this place of, okay, this is going to be a cute, Goonies-esque, E.T.-esque, Spielbergian kind of journey through space.
Yeah.
The mystery surrounding the show is so intriguing.
That's
and I'm
what's
here
with
actually-
the
for
home
it.
world.
Yes.
That's
at
what's
Adam.
actually keeping me
At
hung on at
Yeah.
Adam.
At
Yeah,
Adam.
but I'm like, oh wait a minute. So there's something about their world that is their whole world is the mystery, basically.
Exactly. And
Love
that is
that.
really
I
intriguing.
And I love the way they would like just spoon it out a little bit,
Right? It'd just
through
be a little thing
comments
about it or public
or
credit.
conversation. You're like, huh? What?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love SM33's just Smee. Freaking Nick Frost.
I'm so glad you picked up on that. It's like I turn. That's me.
Yeah.
I just
That's
freaking
me.
love that.
Did you catch the
love
Star
that.
Tours,
the Star Tours
on the
robot
bus?
in
Yep,
there too
yep.
is so
There
Drive the
was
bus.
actually there's a bit of a mix up though, like on the Captain EO thing. People are like, "Oh, Neil's is Hooter." Now, if you look at the characters, they're elephant-like, but completely different species or characters. However, there was a Captain EO reference.
Oh.
This little guy, Fuzzball, he was in the cage,
Oh, that's right.
and
Right.
here's the shot of him in the cage.
Oh wow.
Oh.
So and then he flies off at the end too. So that was a
I
Captain
love
EO
it.
reference right there.
Oh man. I
There
think
was
it's
there
so
was a
charming.
lot of Easter eggs that
So
you picked
many.
up throughout the whole show.
Truly, the only problem I have with the show right now, and this is the dumbest thing in the world, is I'm just still mad that Neil isn't an Orlaton. He's not a Max Rebo
Right.
species because, and this is why I'm mad, you guys, and this is such a dumb nerd thing because it's no, he's a different new species. Well, then tell me what it is, John Watts. Don't be lazy. Don't do this whole like it's like Yoda. He's his own species. No, that's only Yoda. Don't be a little bitch. Tell me
Did
his
you-
species.
I know we're not
Okay.
doing it. Like, I know we're not doing spoilers. This isn't a spoiler, but when they were in the like in the whatever that bay is, the ship bay, the kids were like, "Look at aliens."
Yeah,
That was an interesting comment
that was an odd
it
moment.
would be different than what
They've seen.
they've seen.
because
'Cause
I
that
don't want to
world-
get into why, but I understand why. But
well, yeah, their world has Erodians. They have
they don't.
like-
they have whatever was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
All
they
those
had
guys.
Roidians, they had Athorians, they had like they had everything around there, but they have now seen new species they've never
Yeah.
seen. So what is this world?
Yeah.
Is this world supposed to be some kind of old republic kind of biodome? Social experiment?
Yeah.
I mean, so it's like, because I might be wrong about this, but what
I hope
took
Pauly
the
Shore shows
implied
up now.
message is that I don't even know that this world was ever even aware of the Empire.
I don't think so.
I don't
that
think they are.
they've been in existence from before the Empire through the Empire. They don't know it's the New Republic. Like,
Well, they
And
don't even
so-
know there's stars.
yeah, that's right, because of the whole
Yeah.
barrier they have around the world.
And yet they know all about the Jedi and Sith.
So there was a lore that left, and
there's-
then
yeah.
they
But
closed them
old
off.
Republic history, not
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Which is very, very interesting to me because we have everyone else who lives in this world of like the Jedi, some weird ancient like hoodoo thing. Okay, whatever. And you have actual tablets with all of their information. Oh, I'm fascinated. I love it. It's delightful. Don't let me down, Disney. Please don't let me down. Please.
Oh.
It's Christmas.
Anyway,
Chris, it's Chris.
And so,
Christmas.
and so these new episodes will start showing when it's not Monday night, right?
no, I think it's gonna be Tuesday.
yeah.
Yeah, there
Okay.
was a shift in the dates because we had
Okay.
covered that, I think, last week. Of it starts out Tuesday and then they move to some Mondays and
Yeah.
it's kind of all over the place.
So yeah, as of right now, I absolutely love it. It was, unlike, remember we were talking a little bit earlier about the Acolyte, where it's like I love the premise they told us about and all that kind of stuff, and I went into to the show with all this promise, and it was not at all. This was completely the opposite. I mean, this delivered on all the promise that I kind of was hoping it would be. Very different from what I thought it would be, but also delivering on the promise of what I thought it could be. I just adored it. I can't wait to see where this goes. In the trailer, I thought SM33 would start to annoy me. A robot that talks like this. Screw that. I love that robot. I want that robot.
Much like how I want like Simu Liu and everything, I want Nick Frost and everything. And so him being that voice, good old
That was Nick
Yes.
Frost doing the voice?
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that.
That's I'm kind of squishing my face, and I look at Logan. He's like, "Come on, you got this. You know who this is." And then I finally had to go.
Oh my
on
God,
IMDb.
that's so. For those of you
He's
who know,
so
Nick
good.
Frost, Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, yeah.
Hot Fuzz, all that.
Oh, him.
Oh,
Hilarious and wonderful.
It's also
Anyway.
Ryan Myers if you mix him with Ben Affleck.
oh yeah. Not a lot of people watching know who Ryan Myers is, but again, I cannot wait to see where this goes. And you know what? We've pretty much seen everything from the trailers now. Like, that's the other thing I noticed was that, I think we've now seen almost all the
Right.
still a couple of shots that I could pick up from the trailers that weren't in those first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
But I feel like 80% of the trailers was just covered in those first 2 episodes.
I think them leaving the spaceport. There's a little scene in the trailer that we saw that was not in this.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah.
there's a couple of Jude Law things, because Jude Law is only in the first 2 episodes for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think we've got a lot of surprises to come. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What did you think of the first couple of episodes of Skeleton Crew? Listen, it's not going to be for everybody. Nothing is. Maybe it didn't work for you. That's totally cool. Did you appreciate it? Did you like it as much as we did? Did you like it more than we did? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, it's time for us to get on to the most important part of our show, which is taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to take another quick moment and thank a couple of more sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Tile and Public Rec. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Life 360 Tile Trackers. With the holidays right around the corner, it's all about family, fun, and of course, keeping track of everything while traveling or hosting. For me, that's where Life 360's Tile Trackers are an absolute lifesaver. These little things help keep the holiday stress in check. Whether I'm tracking my keys, wallet, or even our luggage when we travel, Tile Trackers make it easy to keep tabs on everything important. Just open the Tile app to ring it when it's nearby, or track down its location on the map if it's a bit farther. I had mentioned this one time I went to a poker tournament in Vegas, and I keep everything, my wallet, my tablet, and stuff like that, in this satchel backpack of mine, and I thought I lost it. I went crazy for hours until I finally realized I had left it in the car. If I had had Tile Tracker, it would have made my life a lot simpler. And here's one of the things I love about Tile. Tile syncs with Life 360, so I can see the location of my family members and all of our tiled items in one spot. So make your holidays a little less stressful and family-proof your season with Life 360's Tile Trackers. Visit tile.com and use the code Campea to get 15% off. That's tile.com. Use the code Campea. Hey guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Public Rec. Guys, we all know finding pants that both look good and feel good has always been a major challenge. Public Rec's Daymaker pants are here to make sure you stay comfy and classy this season. I absolutely love that they feel like your favorite sweats, but they look like tailored pants. They're super stretchy with an elastic waistband so you can wear them anywhere. The first thing I noticed when I put these pants on was they go on and feel just like my most comfortable pair of sweats, yet they look so good. Another great thing about these pants is, when you order comfortable pants, you only get to pick from like small, medium, or large and extra large sizes, but with Daymaker pants, you get to select the exact width and length that you need. Public Rec not only has the most comfortable pants made, but they have a huge selection of high quality everyday basics, like this beautiful hoodie I was wearing on the show the other day. So stop suffering in regular pants and give the gift of comfort this holiday season. For a limited time only, our listeners get 20% off when you use the code Campea at checkout. That's 20% off with the code Campea at publicrec.com. And listen, after you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support the John Campea Show and tell them that we sent you. Say goodbye to pants that put up a fight, because when comfort meets style, you've found Public Rec. And thank you to our friends at Tile and Public Rec for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that all down, let's get on to the important stuff here, shall we? Which is taking your comments and questions. Jonathan, what we got up first?
This one's adorable. It's from Future Man. And Future Man says, Dune 2 is my favorite movie, and I've been somewhat enjoying Dune Prophecy. I believe I'm not enjoying it as much because I feel the show is geared more towards women. It's been mainly drama, dialogue, and sex scenes,
Yeah.
which they started with the war between... I wish they started with the war between the thinking machines. I think that would have been a cool place to start, but maybe that's just the dude in me. hopefully they will have some more flashbacks from that era. Anyway, I will most likely continue watching it because I'm such a Dune fan.
Well, I mean, look, I get it. We all have different things. The art of movies offers a lot of different things, and as individual viewers, different things affect us have more of an impact on us, right? Some people like more of the action and chaos and explosions and stuff like that. I certainly appreciate that stuff. Some people like more the drama, the dialogue, the real storytelling stuff. The Dune Prophecy is definitely a lot of that. Now, if you come to Dune Prophecy looking for the former, I think it's pretty clear that's not what this show is. Like, this show is less the Avengers and more the King's Speech, which is great because I think the King's Speech is one of the best picture winners at the Oscars in the last 15, 20 years. That being said, you also said something that I found kind of interesting. You know, the whole idea when you say, well, you know, I don't know if I'm into it as much because it seems to be made more for another audience. Fair enough. But I've always found that comment interesting because, you know, when you got traditionally, so like 95% of all Hollywood movies have been made about straight white male men, right? Male men? What other kind of males are there? Anyway, straight white men, you know, you think about, you know, well, because I was in this discussion once when Black Panther was coming. Well, it's not really made for me because it's more about black characters. I'm like, oh, okay, that's not incorrect, but you know, does that mean that 95% of movies ever made, we should just tell people who are Mexican, Asian, black, oh, you wouldn't want to come to see this movie because it's about something that's not you? No, tons of audiences who are not like American or white audiences have been enjoying and experiencing those movies with people who don't look like them. Why can we not appreciate stories about, you know, as a male that focus on women, or as a North American, you know, something taking place in India or something like that? I think you're selling yourself short. I don't think you're selling the movie short. I think you're selling yourself short when we do that. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to like it or that it's going to be for you, but I don't think you should consider something automatically cut off from you just because a movie doesn't have something that is more reflective of who you are. Anyway, there's that. But yeah, I, for one, personally, am not really enjoying Dune Prophecy all that much. I did quite like the second episode, but the third one's kind of losing me. And I'm somebody who appreciates, like, as somebody who loves Game of Thrones, the things I love most about Game of Thrones isn't the dragons. It's the backroom conversations. It's the dialogue. It's the drama. That's what I love about it. So I'm all for that stuff, but I find it a little strenuous.
More of a pacing issue than a content issue?
Pacing issue.
Okay.
I'm finding it laborious to get through right now.
Okay, and that's different. If something's a slog, for sure.
Yeah.
But I think, too, if it does discount you and your ability to enjoy media if you are saying, like, dialogue, drama, and those kinds of things are not for you. Because they are. You love that kind of stuff, I assume, in movies when they have great storytelling and great character development. You just like it to have a couple boom booms in there, too. And not the bedroom kind.
Yeah, that's only what women like.
That's just for us ladies.
Yeah.
As far as the sex scenes, you shut your mouth. No, put all of them in there. Dune is nothing.
Or don't.
Without the romps and
Whatever you
Capital
consent
World
to,
sex
you know.
clubs. All right. Thanks for writing that in, man. We appreciate it. All right. What's next?
Okay, here we go. Haley Steinfeld's wife says, "Hi, John. Is Anne as devastated as I am to find out that the woman of our dreams, Haley Steinfeld, is now engaged? Besides being 6'5", a millionaire, and having a cannon of an arm, what does Josh Allen have that I don't?" Well, he has,
You know what?
height, $1 million, a cannon of an arm, and Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah.
Yeah, like one of my wife's celebrity crushes is Haley Steinfeld. She can act, she can sing, she can do it all. She's great. I really, really like her. But she's the reason that Josh Allen is her favorite player in the NFL. As a matter of fact, remember no, you wouldn't know this because this was on Filthy Sports. But on Filthy Sports the other night, we mentioned that probably going to go to the Buffalo Bills versus the LA Rams game.
Oh, nice.
The reason we're probably going to that is because I like sleeping in my own house. And if I didn't take my wife to go see that game, I'd probably be in trouble. Anne wants to go. She goes, "We got to get tickets to the Bills versus the Rams because I want to go watch Josh Allen play." Yeah, you know what? I don't understand. Look, I get why Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift is a bigger deal. I get that. Nobody in pop culture is talking about the guy who is about to be the MVP of the NFL, Josh Allen. And Haley Steinfeld just got engaged. Nowhere in any of my NFL coverage watching have I seen anybody even mention it once. Like, I get it. It's not Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce level, but it's the MVP of the league and one of the big stars, and they just got engaged this week and nobody in pop culture is talking about it. I just don't understand why.
He needs a podcast. And then
Walter Whitewalker put this into terms that even I can understand. He can throw a pass, catch it himself, and get a touchdown.
And by the way,
Like,
that
what?
just happened this week.
He's amazing.
He literally, it's the first time I've ever seen it. He threw a touchdown pass to himself. It's never happened
That's
before.
How does that
bananas.
Well, the way it happened was he threw it.
was like
And
a high
had
arch.
someone.
No. So his receiver caught it, and it's the receiver they just picked up. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember. Oh
Did he
no,
lateral?
I can't. Yeah, he caught it, instantly got hit, and Josh Allen was after he threw it, he started swinging towards him just in case he caught it and fumbled it. Right, and the receiver looked up, saw Josh Allen coming towards him, and just pitched it back to him.
Wow.
That officially counts and ran it in for a touchdown. So he threw the pass.
Wow.
And it officially counts as a touchdown reception.
Jeez.
So he's became the only NFL player in history to throw for a touchdown, receive a touchdown, and rush for a touchdown all in the same game.
That feels like he took like some basketball tactics and threw it in football.
Yeah, kind of like that. And it was Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper was the receiver who got it. But man, Josh Allen, it just gets better and better and better every year. And yeah, anyway. All right. What's next?
Superhuman.
It's all groovy. Says, did everyone laugh out loud at seeing the pilot robot from Star Tours on the bus driver in Skeleton Crew? I love that small Easter egg.
Yeah.
I didn't laugh out loud, but I was like, hey, Star
Leo
Tours.
DiCaprio.
Yeah, like I literally, Ryan was sitting beside me watching it, right? And he became the living Leonardo DiCaprio meme going, like he literally set up like, like he literally became that meme. Oh, it's the guy from Star Tours. That was, again, if you actually go back and watch it again, the show is actually littered with like cool little Easter eggs. It's really, really nice. All right, what's next?
Okay, Eddie says, what does Sony do if or when Craven tanks at the box office? Could we see them sell their catalog of heroes and villains to Marvel? Or, why did that just move? Or possibly do they bring Marvel in as a bigger collaborator on projects other than just Spider-Man?
Nope.
So keep Spider-Man, but sell the Rogues Gallery.
Nope. That's never going to happen. Never going to happen. I'll tell you what else. I think all the things being equal, Sony would like these films to be hits, but they don't really care if they're not.
Nah, they just...
Like they would
Please,
like them to be. All other things being equal, I mean, it would be better if they were hits. They would like them to be.
These are investments in Spider-Man.
But they just need to keep making these movies so they can retain the Spider-Man rights. If Sony stops making movies, they lose the rights to Spider-Man. And they will never, ever, ever, ever let that happen.
Oh, and I mean, lose, meaning they don't even have to, like, sell it. They lose it.
Yeah, they lose it.
So what does that tell you? It'd be better to lose on these films or break even or whatever
Sony has to be in production.
than to just be like, here's Spider-Man, I guess.
Yeah.
Sony has to be in production of a new Spider-Man verse movie every X number of years. And if they stop doing that, the rights just automatically go back to Marvel. Sony's never going to let that happen. They don't care if they lose 100 million here. I mean, again, they would like the movie to be a hit. So they've gone out. So for Craven, instead of getting the same clown car of people that made Madam Web and Morbius, they actually went out and got a pretty solid writer and a pretty solid director. And hey, listen, personally, I don't know if the movie's going to be good, but I liked the first 8 minutes of Craven they showed. I thought it was pretty good. Not great, but I thought it was pretty good. But if it doesn't make money and it bombs, Sony doesn't really mind losing a 75 million here, 100 million there, if it means they still get to be the owner of Spider-Man, whose movies make $1 billion. Yes, they still own that Spider-Man that Marvel's making movies with. They are still the distributor of Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home, and whatever Spider-Man 4 is, Sony's the distributor of it, and they take the lion's share of the profits. So they are perfectly okay. I mean, again, in a perfect world, they would love Kraven to be a hit. They would love it to be a hit because that's even more money they make. But if it's not, no big deal. You know why? Because you and I don't mind spending $10 if we get $40 from it. So anyway, Chris, you had a thought on that?
I just wish they'd try.
But I mean, like with Kraven, it seems like they're trying. Like they got the right writer. They
We'll
got
see.
the right writer.
It
They
does
got the
have
right director.
It does have the appearance, but we will see the end product. If this thing is as bad as the others, then you might as well just call these like the Spider-Man rights films. And
Truly.
they're just
Yep.
it's just like the B and C movies that Hollywood made in the 50s, and they were just like schlock.
I will
know?
say they definitely drive you to the movie theater bar. So
They sell.
that's
sell
a
booze.
really good move,
And
I
hey,
think, for the
listen,
theaters.
Help
And
the theaters.
If they
Yeah.
can keep cranking out some Across the Spider-Verse, again, listen, say what you will, say what you and I will about Sony right now. They have still made the 3 best Spider-Man movies,
Oh, yeah.
right? Spider-Man 2 by Sam Raimi, Across the Spider-Verse, and Into the Spider-Verse. Those are the 3 best Spider-Man movies ever made. None of them were made by Marvel. If every once in a while, in the midst of a horrible Morbius, or in the midst of a horrible Madam Web, or in the midst of a subpar Venom 3, if they can still once in a while, while keeping their rights to Spider-Man, crank out and Into the Spider-Verse, and every once in a while give us a Venom 1, if they can still do that, great. But yeah, all these people who keep writing, let's hope that Kraven tanks so that Marvel will get the rights back. They're not getting the rights back ever. Like until Marvel makes an offer to Sony that Sony simply can't refuse, but Marvel's not going to do that because that's more expensive than what's even Spider-Man is worth to them. Until that happens, Sony's never going to give these rights up till they're 90.
Yeah.
It ain't happening. And they're okay if Kraven bombs. They don't want it to bomb. But again, you and I would be more than happy to spend $10 if spending and losing that $10 means we get 40. And that's what Sony's doing. Lose money on Madam Web, lose money on Morbius, no big deal. We'll make it back with the massive profits we're getting from No Way Home. Lose a little bit of money on Kraven, that's okay. Because we're going to make $300 million on our cut of the profits from whatever Spider-Man 4 is. So, yeah. And by the way, they get a little cut of the Avengers movies too. Because as Spider-Man appears in them, they don't get as much of a cut as they do from the Spider-Man movies. But when Spider-Man appears in something, Sony gets a little cut of that.
Not to mention they report losses, so then their taxes benefit right before their big windfall. Of
Yep,
Spider-Man.
so they become tax right again. In a perfect world, they would love it to be Venom that makes $800 million. That's what they would like it to be. But if it's not, no big deal. All right, what's next?
All right. I hope you got your answer, Eddie. Arun says, "Hey, John, saw the finale of Superman and Lois, and it was beautiful. The writers took some bold swings, and acting was really good. This truly marks the end of the Arrowverse in TV. SNL was Superman and Lois was my favorite show in the Arrowverse, as it had 4 good seasons."
I would argue that it had 4 good seasons because I had to tap out at some point, but I heard it got better. Yeah, I gave up on the show after a while, but again, to its credit, I heard that after I gave up on it, it got a lot better. I watched a YouTube video of like the 10-15 minute final little bits of how Clark is talking about growing old and Lois dies eventually and his sons grow up, and to see his 2 sons in their Superman costumes and stuff like that. And that was actually pretty sweet. That was nice. Again, one of the things that I loved about Superman and Lois was the whole premise of it. Superman's a dad. And how dealing with being Superman and being a husband and a father, it is a really great idea. And I'm really glad. Again, I never finished the show, but I really liked the first season and I love the whole concept of it. and it came to a conclusion. Some people thought kind of a truncated, shortened final season when their budget was slashed in half and they had to lose some of their characters, but still, it's good to hear that people enjoyed the finale, because it's not often that a show ends well. It's very, very difficult for a show to end well, and it sounds like Superman and Lois did that. All right, what's next?
Right, we got Anonymous who says, "Hey John, I want to thank you for indirectly recommending me Aisha Curry's restaurant in Las Vegas. I took my wife to Las Vegas for her birthday, and we had a blast. I scored big points with it, plus Adele tickets, and surprise, that was the LVF
Las Vegas F1
weekend.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a madhouse. Okay, what he's talking about, for those who don't know, I know a lot of people go and visit Las Vegas. When you do, I'm not a foodie, but when you do, go to the MGM Grand, and in MGM Grand, well, there are two restaurants I would highly recommend, but the one we're talking about right now is Steph Curry's wife, Aisha Curry. She has a restaurant there called International Smoke. It's fabulous. It's the only restaurant that Ann and I literally made a decision to do a weekend Vegas trip just because we felt like going to that restaurant. And we go to Vegas like 6-7 times a year, and we go for a lot, but never have we gone because we're in the mood to eat at that restaurant, at whatever restaurant. We've never made the decision, okay, let's pull the trigger and go to Vegas because of a restaurant. But we've done that because of International Smoke. So when you go there, make plans to go to that restaurant and go check it out. The food is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. All right, what's next?
Jay Newbie says, "I love Skeleton Crew so far. The first episode was a slow burn, and their home planet felt very CG. I assume that's from the volume, but episode 2 sucked me in and reignited my sense of childhood adventure. Also love the Peter Pan reference with the droid."
I will. I first of all, I don't agree at all that the world at Adden felt CGI or volume-ish at all. I didn't find that a bit. But where I do agree with you was that the first episode is a slow burn.
Mm-hmm.
They did take, I'll even say, maybe a little too much time just setting up the world. But that being said, I felt like there was really good payoff with all that groundwork for the second episode. But yeah, I think I agree with you that I felt the length of it, like this feels at first like it's taking a little too long to get going, but I forgave that because then I felt like that groundwork did pay off. I don't know, Chris, did you feel that in the first episode, or did it just fly by for you?
It flew by. I was so invested, but when it all ended, I was like, what? No. And also, yeah, the world felt very lived in and real to me. I didn't get that volume thing at all.
Yeah, I didn't get the volume feeling from it at all, but
Yeah.
you did, and that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I didn't personally. All right, what's next?
Kyle says, "Just watched the series finale of Superman and Lois and was emotionally, what an emotional ending to a surprising good series for CW. Well done, CW."
Again, it's good. I fell off of the show somewhere in season 2, but it's really good to hear that it ended well, because I just thought the idea of it was so good. All right, what's next?
Okay, Not James Gunn says, "Got some gift cards for the family. Just wanted to thank you for doing this every year to help to give family a better holiday.
Thank you so much.
If you had to pick only one movie from 2025, but you can't watch any other 25 movie until 26, which would you pick?"
I don't know what movies are coming out.
Oh,
Listen,
25. Yeah.
I people always ask me this, and I always say the same thing. I'm terrible with dates. I don't remember which movies are coming out in 2025, which ones are coming out in 2026. I have to have a list in front of me. So what do I know is coming out in 2025?
Well, Thunderbolts,
Captain America 4.
Um,
Does Fantastic Four come out in 2025?
yes, Fantastic Four.
Superman.
Wicked 2, Superman.
Mission Impossible. So the answer I'm going to give is a very asterisk answer, because I don't have a list of all the movies coming in front of me. I think out of all of those, the one I'm most excited to see is probably Superman. Not that I think it's necessarily going to be the best one, but it's the first movie of a brand new cinematic universe.
Right.
So, again, super excited about Wicked 2.
Oh, Fire and Ash. Avatar 3.
Oh, that's right. That's coming out in December.
And then the How to Train Your Dragon live action.
Yeah, the How to Train Your Dragon. So there are a lot of those that I'm very excited about, but just the fact that Superman is the start of a brand new cinematic universe. Again, I'll say that one, but that's only because I don't have a full list of the movies coming out in front of me. Chris, do you have one in 2025 that you're particularly excited for?
I mean, I'm excited about Wicked, but not enough about any of these movies to then not see any other movie the following year. That's a bananas prompt.
Yeah, that is. Yeah,
But man, if we did that, this is
This
our
show would
career.
be
Like, we'd be a real
hilarious,
boring
yeah.
show.
Well, I watched my one movie. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I hope
Yeah.
you guys like the other ones.
I think this Superman movie is going to be incredible. I mean, listen,
I
if
hope so.
James Gunn's track record is impeccable. So I have absolutely no reason not to believe it's going to be absolutely insane. And by the way, there's no other major film executive in all of Hollywood who knows, like whoever you are, James Gunn knows more about the DC comic books than you do. Like whoever you are, he knows more than you do. And you can't often say that about a Hollywood executive. He's the CEO of a company. And so you match his impeccable track record, his great filmmaking style, and the fact that he has been passionately in love with the idea of doing this project for so long. Again, it could turn out to be crap. Everybody's got a bad day at the office, even Steven Spielberg.
Do you know? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, but I've got a lot of faith in this
Yeah.
Superman movie.
Do you know, this is like just random question, but do we know if like James Gunn and like Schnepp ever knew each other? I feel like those two would have collaborated in such great ways, but I don't know if they ever crossed paths.
I think I may have had. I mean, well, Schnepp was there when James Gunn came into the studio.
Yeah.
Remember that night? I mean, like, for those of you who didn't know about it, because this is going back a ways, one of the best nights ever in my career was when I literally had, although I didn't know at the time that I had the head of Marvel and the head of DC there with me, but Kevin Feige, James Gunn, and Chris Pratt all came in to our studio to do a special, like, 1 hour discussion with me. It was great. And I think Schnepp was there, and I think he probably met James Gunn that night, but I don't know that they had, I'm not saying they didn't. I'm just saying
We
I
just
don't
don't
know
know
that they had any.
But they would have
background
probably
on
been
that.
great collaborators.
Oh, they would have been great collaborators
Yeah.
for sure. All right,
Uh,
what's next?
Cam says, is there any blockbuster film that you all didn't get a chance to see in theaters? For me, it was The Force Awakens. At that time, I wasn't into Star Wars like I am now, praying it gets an anniversary release next year. I don't think
Big
so.
blockbuster that I never got around to seeing.
I mean, there's a couple now I still haven't seen, but that's just because they're in theaters right now.
I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Avatar for me.
Oh, the first?
No, the second.
Oh, you didn't see the second?
Yeah, and then because I wanted to watch it in IMAX so bad, but
Mm.
just didn't have the time.
Still haven't seen Gladiators
Either.
Oh my gosh.
Either, right?
either.
Yeah.
I had people tell me that I shouldn't see the first Gladiator and I should go see the second because I'll enjoy it more.
Well, I mean, you would enjoy the first Gladiator more.
Yeah.
You'll
Yeah.
enjoy the
I'll
second Gladiator. Your enjoyment of Gladiator 2 will be more if you don't watch the
That's
first
what they were
one.
saying, yeah. They're like, go in blind, you'll like it then.
Mm,
I was like, okay.
yeah. No, see Gladiator 1 first.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, what's next?
R.I.P. Arrowverse says Superman and Lois ended today, and I feel bittersweet. Arrow came out when I was 11, and now I'm 23.
Wow.
That's a very
Whoa.
formative time. I feel like the end of an era. The Arrowverse was a flawed era, but I enjoyed most of the shows. I grew up with those shows. Oh well, bring on the DCU, and you probably appreciated them more in that age as you were growing into them
Yeah.
too.
To be honest, though, the Arrowverse ended with Flash. Superman and Lois was not a part of the Arrowverse. Actually, the actress from Grimm who played Lois in Superman and Lois, she actually just put out a big social media post and where she very accurately said she gave thanks in the post to the fans, but also to the producers and everybody who started the Arrowverse. And she very accurately put in the post, although we were not technically a part of the Arrowverse, our show existing is due in thanks to that groundwork that was laid there.
Right.
So really the end of Superman and Lois wasn't the end of the Arrowverse. The Arrowverse had already ended. This was a kind of a different thing. But yeah, it's still weird to think about the Arrowverse being over.
Yeah.
I mean, but it was longer ago than I thought.
It marks my whole like LA timeline. So
Really?
when I moved here is when they were first starting to cast Flash, and Logan went in to read for Flash, and I went to read for several speedsters, and obviously, we didn't get him. but it was like that show was the big marking of us coming out to LA, or at least me coming out to LA, and the end of it just feels kind of odd. Of like, oh wow,
Yeah. And now we got Stephen Amell is doing the new Suits show.
yep.
So it's going to be really interesting to see how that does and how he does over there. I'm still waiting to see what else. Well, who's the name of the guy who played Flash again? Who played Barry Allen?
Oh, in the show?
Grant.
Grant
Grant
Gustin.
Gustin,
That's it.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm waiting to see what he does, because I know he's been doing some stage, a lot of stage
Just
stuff.
wrapped
but
up Water for Elephants.
I want to see him get that next role. I mean, Stephen Amell did great in Arrow, and he got more opportunities. I want to see Grant get some more opportunities too.
He's a wonderful actor.
All right, what's next?
We got RL, who says the new DCU is about to start, and the first appetizer of the universe is Creature Commandos. It currently sits at a very high 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. Does it speak volumes on the focus of quality over quantity? Gun, DC Studios, and Warner Brothers will deliver?
Until I see it, it doesn't say anything. Again, I'm just being honest. And, you know, I'm a huge James Gunn nut fan, right? Huge. But I'm also always honest with my audience. I'm not excited about Creature Commandos. Doesn't mean I'm not going to love it when I see it. But you know, I wasn't excited about Harley Quinn either, and now I love that show.
Yeah.
But if I'm being honest, I'm not excited for it. The trailers didn't really do it for me. Seems pretty generic. I'm far more interested in Superman. But hopefully this will turn into another Harley Quinn situation where I nothing looked all that interesting to me, but then I saw it and fell in love with it. I hope that happens, but I'm not counting down the days
And
to
we can't-
Creature Commandos.
We can't say this speaks volumes about quality over quantity, because it's literally the first thing
This
that's
is the
been
first
released.
thing. Yeah.
There is no quantity. There's only one.
Yeah,
So-
this is the first thing. But Chris, I think you've been more interested and excited
Yeah.
about Creature Commandos.
Well, I love anything that's animated. I love this
When
kind of
does it come out? It
stuff.
comes out this week,
It
doesn't
comes out soon. I
Very-
can double check.
Like, is it Thursday that it comes out?
Amanda,
Like, I'm definitely going to watch it when it
premiere.
drops.
The 5th.
So, yeah,
So-
Thursday.
Yeah.
Oh, 2 days.
So
Yeah.
I'll definitely be checking it out, and
Yeah.
hopefully it's as good as what James Gunn's stuff has brought me to
I
expect.
think it will be. He deals with weird and wacky so well.
Yeah.
So I'm pumped.
All right. What's next?
Jorko, Jobo, and Lil Baby Tulo. There we go.
Yay.
Skeleton Crew is amazing so far. This shiz is mint, or wizard, as the kids say, or whatever. I've watched this 2-episode premiere 3 times.
Dang.
This is exactly what I want from Star Wars. I'll always call. Oh, this is a 3-parter. So I'll always call back to Andor for doing it first, and doing it well. The world building, the perspective through the lens of regular people, characters you can attach to and root for, while also giving you beautiful cinematography and a sense of enchantment while watching this adventure unfold. It brought back genuine joy into my life. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but this show is perfect from every aspect I can think of. For the love of all things good, I hope it keeps this momentum. The Star Wars world is healing, maybe.
No, I don't believe that for a second. But aside from that overly optimistic appraisal of the situation, what for me, one of the things that I love about Skeleton Crew and its very existence is it is something that finally feels like it's growing the Star Wars universe. Almost everything that's come out of Star Wars has been in the service of shrinking the universe. It's all characters we already know. It's all things we've already covered. It's oh, you like this? Let's do another thing with that character. And let's do another thing with that character. And it's always characters we already know and already have seen and have already done, and like stuff we've already covered, and over. And just Star Wars, even though within that shrinking universe, there's been some great stuff, but it's shrinking. I've always wanted Star Wars to just acknowledge, listen, it's a huge, vast universe with countless numbers of worlds and stories that can be told in very different ways. And this show kind of represents that potential of, you know what? Why not tell a dark horror story set within Star Wars? Why not tell a political espionage story within Star Wars? Why not have a rom-com set in Star Wars? Why not have a Goonies set in Star Wars? Why not have a Deadpool-like movie set in Star Wars? Because the universe is so vast. George Lucas created a playground that is literally limitless in size, yet Star Wars has keep insisting on shrinking it and shrinking it and shrinking it. This represents the growing of Star Wars, and I hope it sets a precedent. So, we'll see where it goes. All right, what's next?
Be cool, Yolanda says, hey, John, I'm very excited for the Superman trailer, but I'm also excited to see footage for another big 2025 release. Are we due for an Avatar Fire and Ash trailer? Have you heard any rumblings? Thanks, bring on the film.
Why the fuck would we be getting an Avatar trailer a year before the movie comes out?
Too early.
It's way too early. No, so no, no, and nor should they. Now, because Avatar is more than just another movie coming out. I mean, Avatar is, hey, listen, it's fair to say they're two of the biggest films ever in the history of mankind, and now we're about to get the third. Avatar is kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's kind of like its own institution at this point. So do I expect some kind of little tease just to remind everybody about that? Yeah, probably like some little 15-second thing or whatever. But as far as a true trailer goes, at the earliest, I would say Comic-Con. I would say the earliest Comic-Con. Oh, no, you know what? I take that back. April. CinemaCon. They will.
Yeah.
They have shown us stuff more than a year and a half in advance of the last Avatar at CinemaCon. So at CinemaCon in April, we will definitely get something.
Yeah.
Whether they drop that to the public, I doubt it. But I would say maybe a big thing gets dropped to the public sometime around Comic-Con, I'd say. That's going to be my guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
Murray says, after being so burnt out by so many bad Star Wars projects, I have to say Skeleton Crew has been surprisingly very good. It reminded me of Goonies. Let's hope the rest of the series gets even better or finishes strong.
Listen, I hate the fact that we have to be, and I include myself in this, so skeptical because, like, the fact of the matter is, I know people get tired of hearing me say it, but it has to be brought up when we get a new show like this and it starts strong. Other Star Wars shows have started strong and then gone right to crap. So I'm with you. This one has given me such joy so far. I really hope. And here's the good news. Jude Law just showed up.
Yeah.
So I almost feel like now the show can really get going. Now we're about episode 3. I think episode 3 is going to be the episode that really gives us what this show is going to be. And that puts a lot of weight on it. So here's hoping episode 3, because I'm with you, man. I have loved this show so far, and hopefully episode 3 knocks it out of the park. All right, what's next?
Dakota says, hey, John and crew, I've always wanted to ask this. Let's say you have kids or are in charge of kids for a weekend or a night. What would the top 3 movies you would introduce them to as a movie fan be? So mine would be Harry Potter 1, New Hope, and Mrs. Doubtfire.
Probably none of those.
Heat.
And
Pulp
Heat,
Fiction.
Schindler's List.
Casablanca.
And The Shining.
And The Shining. That's 4, but I'll do it.
I mean, I guess partially would depend on what the age of the kids are.
Paddington
Would definitely be right up
You could
there.
just do the trilogy, possibly.
You could. So Paddington, the original animated Aladdin would probably be right up there. And you know what? Now that we've been talking about it so much, probably the Goonies.
Yeah.
I mean, those would be ones that I know the kids, because there's a difference between if I'm just watching somebody's kids for the weekend, and I've done that a lot, what would I show them that I know that they will delight and enjoy is different than what would I show them because I want them to like and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Right? New Hope is definitely my kids because, like, love this movie or pack your bags is going to be kind of a thing. Like, you are like, yeah, you're still my kid, but you know what?
But I don't love you as much anymore.
I can make another one that looks just like you.
I mean, the
Wow.
beginning of New Hope was kind of tough for me myself to
I?
actually. Just the beginning, like I would fall asleep. But if they could get through that part, then yeah, of course. But what do you guys?
You fell asleep with a Star Destroyer attacking?
Oh, which one was the one where it starts with where he's in the snow? And
That's-
he's
That's
like,
the second one.
That's
Empire.
Empire
oh,
Strikes
sorry,
Back.
that's the one I fell asleep to.
You fell asleep to Luke battling a snow beast and the Empire attacking the rebel
Well, you know what?
base?
Now that you put it that way, maybe I'm stupid for.
Well, you're not stupid.
But I made it through.
You're sleepy.
Maybe it was a bad time. Maybe I was so tired the 4 times I fell asleep through it. But what do you guys feel about the Wallace and Gromit movies? Do you think those are boring?
No, I think those are adorable.
Like,
I like the Wallace and Gromit.
I'm not big on
It's
those.
never
I
one
think
that I
they're
would
cute.
try to put in front of a kid.
Right.
But I like the Wallace and Gromit.
I do.
I think they're
stuff.
precious.
Yeah,
I
me
did
too.
see a horrific TikTok of this is the most unintentionally horrifying costume I've ever seen. And it's one of those inflatable suits, like the dinosaur ones, but it's one of the like chicken run chickens.
Oh my god.
And it's like night vision shot. So it's just this horrific chicken chasing after somebody and its weird body moving
that
all over the
reminds
place.
me, we're getting another chicken run. When's that supposed to come?
Didn't that already happen?
Did it already happen? Oh my god, did it like come and go that I didn't even notice it?
I don't know
so.
about
Maybe.
here's something that just happened right now. I put on a pair of pants that was in the
Just now?
side of my room. And
Just
I just
now.
realized why I put them on the corner of my room. It's
Yeah.
because there's a hole in them.
Ray.
And I didn't notice. So that's why, because I was like, it's cold.
You need some duct.
Why are my balls so chilly?
It's
I'm
cold.
so glad you let all of us know this thing that we
Thought
wouldn't
I
have
meant-
known.
I
Dang.
just want everyone to know why I am the way I am today.
It's
I don't
cold.
really know that explains it.
Right there, dude. See, look, there's a hole.
I'm
What's
not,
right
I'm
there?
not gonna look.
It's not. It's not. You can't see
Holy
anything, but it's like air vents. It's just like it's ripping away. So the thread is like that.
Boy, my finger's
So
on the
there's
trigger
not a
right
full
now. I'm about
hole.
to switch
There's
off
not a
or
full
mute us.
hole. But if I walk a little too wide with my legs, there will be a hole.
Why would you walk wide? with
I
your
don't know.
legs?
That's the thing that would make the hole. Because right now it's just threads, like just hanging on for their dear life. But if I do the splits for some reason today, that's definitely.
Because that happens every once in a
Yeah.
while. Ray every once in a while just yanks
Hey,
off and does a Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Do we have tape?
Do we have tape?
Do you think you can tape
You need.
your
You
pants?
got to do duct tape. I've done that before.
Okay, well, anyways. All right, let's go. Next question. I'm taking away from
Yeah.
our viewers. Let's go.
Let's go on to the next
AL
question.
says, I don't know if we answered the question, but anyway, AL says, have you heard the sad news that Jack Veal, the actor who played Kid Loki in Loki Season 1, is currently homeless after leaving his abusive family? It's terrible. Apparently his his payment for Loki Season what went to his family. That often is the case. Thankfully, he is receiving help, but prayers to him.
Yeah, I did see that, and it's like it's a should be a stark reminder to a lot of us. I remember Aaron would talk about this a lot. Is that the public perception? Our perception is that when somebody is in a big movie or TV show, they have lots of money,
No.
and like Aaron, who is a working actress, is like, no, guys, like you're still working. Sometimes paycheck to paycheck and stuff like that, and whatever, and that you get paid. It's a job. You go do a job and you're not in there anymore. And I said, this should be a reminder of us. I also remember, like, I read a bunch of headlines of people saying, like, Kevin Feige, this is your actor. You should be taking care of him. It's like, this isn't Kevin Feige's kid. Like, he was an actor who showed up and played a role and got paid for it and went to his family, but that's the law. But yeah, it's a sucky situation. I really hope that the kid is able to get help.
Well, this is also why, and more needs to be done too, but child actors have something called a Coogan account, and that is where 15% of the money they make has to go into this trust fund that only they will be able to access once they turn 18 and everything, to try to give them a little bit of financial stability
By the way,
and
15%
independence.
is far too small.
15% is way too small.
Way too
and we see this happen with tons and tons of actors, unfortunately, if they just get really, really taken advantage of when they're young and they've got crappy families.
Yeah. And again, like you think, oh, you appeared in a TV show. You got $4 million. Sometimes they get like $15,000.
Oh my God. When I did my Marvel game at the beginning of the year, all of my friends were like, so are you going to just like take a big break from work and just kind of travel for a while? Like, what? No, I paid a month of rent for doing like 3 months of work. Are you kidding me? No.
Because there's something called taxes, and then also a
agent
few
fees
agent
and-
fees and whatever. And
Union fees.
All right. What's next?
protect Neil at all cost.
Yes.
The gas Neil let out after Fern said she killed the old captain sold. I know, he's so gullible. Also, I thought the second half of Acolyte was better than the first half. Not really good, but much better.
I think my favorite Neil moment.
Neil is so cute.
Neil's so good, but I don't know why, because it's actually not that funny of a moment. But I just thought it was great when she's telling the story. They say you can still hear them in there, knocking on the door, trying to get out. And then Neil goes over to the door and puts his ear on the door. I'm like, okay,
Aw.
this is way too precious. I'm just like, this is way too good. That was my favorite Neil moment.
Although I do. There's one thing. The other kid, Neil's friend,
Wim, the main
Wim.
kid.
boy, I really hope they stop writing him like stupid. Like, I get it in the beginning, but start to wise up. Stop just hitting every button. Like,
Yeah.
that was a problem with Falcon, not Falcon, with Hawkeye, the series. It was like he was trying to teach her how to be a super agent. She's like, I'll just do this. Shut up. Blop. And it's like over and over. Like,
Yeah.
you can make those mistakes, but then wise up. So I hope they write him to wise up a little bit.
Sure. I mean, it's a coming of age
Yeah,
story.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
they will. John Watts has a very John Hughes kind of vibe, and he helps people grow and learn throughout his stories.
Let's hope he does that. With
Man, the call to click that button was so great, of just that little,
It was
okay.
it was very Ren and Stimpy. The
Yes.
big red
Don't
button.
push the button.
Thinking of Doctor Who, there's this great, like the episode where David Tennant becomes the Doctor. He goes, "Oh, a big red threatening button. I'm gonna press it."
But the difference between the Kate Bishop is, I think she was trying to impress her mentor because she idolized Hawkeye, so she was trying to get things done,
That's
but in a weird way. But this one, it's like he's just a kid. He's curious.
Yeah,
He'll
like
do
I
it-
remember when they showed that, and it's like, don't touch anything, and that button is flashing. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay,
What
let's
kid
be
wouldn't?
real. There is no kid in any real or fictional world that isn't pressing that button. There is no kid in existence. Fuck, I don't know that I wouldn't have been pressing that
Oh,
button.
Logan immediately was like, "That would."
Yeah, absolutely.
Heck
90% of the people watching would totally press that
Unless
button.
it says bomb or explode or something.
Or instant death.
yeah. I mean, any
But
kid.
anything, like you put a big flashing sign that says, don't press this button, any kid
Yeah.
is
Gonna press it.
What happens? Yeah.
Because it opens the door to Chuck E. Cheese's.
Oh, then.
All right. What's next?
I believe. Whoa. I believe Murray is next. Says, I know I'm late to the party, but man, that Chicago Bears game, even my wife who doesn't watch sports and watched that play was like, what are they waiting for?
Yeah, we talked about it on Filthy Sports, but for those of you who don't know, I'll just very quickly. So the Chicago Bears, 36 seconds left, had one timeout remaining, were marching down the field to try to tie the game. They were down by 3. They weren't in field goal range yet. The quarterback got sacked, and the coach didn't call the timeout. So the clock kept ticking, and in the midst of their last play, the clock ran out, and that was it while they had a timeout. And not surprisingly, the coach, Eberflus, got fired the next day. Lost his job over it.
Dang.
Like, it was one of the most dumbfounding things. I was driving when that game was ending. I was on my way to meet Ann, and Ann is texting me going, "Oh my God, the Bears, they blew, like, how could they choke like this? How did they, I'm like, what happened? And then I saw it happen, couldn't believe it. All right, what's next?
Anthony says, I like Skeleton Crew so far, but I still find Planet Suburbia jarring, but I do like that they're starting to explain why the planet is that way. I laughed out loud because I imagined Vader walking down a neighborhood street.
But again, imagine this though, like forget the Atatin mystery and all that kind of stuff. There are millions of worlds in Star Wars. Why do all of them have to be completely covered with forest or completely covered with sand or be completely 7,000 stories of a complete city planet?
Right.
Like, there are going to be worlds in the millions and millions and millions of worlds that look like this, look like that, look like the other thing. And there's going to be worlds that look more like a reflection of what we consider suburbia, right?
Right.
There are going to be worlds that do that. So why is it so out of the realm of possibility that in those millions of worlds that this is a story that's going to take on place one that looks like this?
Right. Yeah. Not everything can be like a village full of huts, and not everything is an ancient city or medieval, like a city that's like 1,000 years old. Like even in Andor, his city was built like on a medieval style of, like, it wasn't a grid.
Yeah.
It was stairs that led to alleyways to this. It's like, it looked like a Medina. So there's going to be planets like that. Exactly. But then you're going to have natural expansion, and people are going to have cities like sprawls like this.
Yeah.
By the way, somebody in the live chat was asking, why don't, or is saying, it's probably an Empire experiment. No, remember,
No.
I don't even think this world knows that the Empire existed. This is pre-Empire.
They
This
had
is
old Republic credits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
And what was I going to say about that? Oh, also, I appreciate it. While I feel like I agree when you're saying it's jarring, it also allows us to feel like, what if Star Wars came to us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like that. Big E Support Club says, Chris, since you watch WWE, how wild was the New Day break up on Monday Night Raw? Did not see it going that way at all.
I saw it.
You can pivot to Ray because I did not watch this week.
Oh man, it was very heartbreaking. It was like I didn't expect it. It was
Hasn't New Day been around for like 15
a
years?
decade.
Yeah,
A decade.
decade.
It was. I didn't suspect that both of them would turn on Big E like that. That was crazy.
That's horrible.
It's such a good story though.
Yeah?
It's like there's emotion there that you don't think you'll feel from a wrestling show, but it was there last night. Last night's Raw was actually a really good show, to be honest, from the beginning to the end. But that story was their main story, the main thing that happened, and it's shocking a lot of people. Just because of how, Big E, he had a neck injury.
Yeah.
He was gone for a long time. But the way they turned that into a storyline, it's really good, actually. Triple H is doing really good job with wrestling right now.
I love Biggie so much.
Yeah, I know. He was just like, this is it. Like, he just couldn't leave the ring. They were telling him to get out of the ring. Like, he hadn't been there for them, and that's why they're falling apart. And, like, but he was... Oh man, you just need to watch that
Okay.
segment. It was really good.
Let's move on. What's next?
Twilight Boy.
Hi, boy.
I was Skeleton Crew's biggest hater before it released. Of course, Kennedy would think we'd want a millionth Disney Plus show. Only this time a Goonies ripoff, I said. I loved it. I'm happy I was wrong. Though I will say it feels like it was meant to be a film. Oh.
Yeah,
maybe.
I think there were initial thoughts that it was going to be a film. And I'm not going to say I wouldn't have rather it have been a film. I'll usually lean towards I'd rather a film guy than a series. But all I know is that I'm loving it so far.
Hey, if all the episodes are 24 minutes long, make it a film.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's so.
I mean,
like,
that's plain simple.
again, first episode, 49 minutes. Great. I mean, so I just hope we don't get, I hope it doesn't turn into this
Yes,
bullshit
please,
20 something minutes, because
please.
go fuck yourself if they do. But I got to say, I'm loving this show so far. I think it's great so far.
How does one
All
do
right.
that?
What's next?
Starts with a hole in the pants. Anonymous says, wondering your thoughts on end of an era with DC shows on the CW and Superman and Lois ending. Also, I had high ratings it had high ratings and felt it could have been easily transferred to Max. James went back on his word when he said people seem to like it, so it will last. I don't know if he went back on his word. I think it just naturally ended.
That's bullshit. James Gunn never went back on his word on anything regarding that. And it had great ratings for something that was a CW show. Remember, compared to other, like the big boy shows and the big league shows, and I say this as somebody who loved the Arrowverse for a long time, their ratings were actually very tiny. They were big for CW, but they were, in the grand scheme of things, they were quite tiny compared to a lot of other things. That being said, even though the Arrowverse had already ended, Superman and Lois is still part of that era. You're right, the CW era more than the Arrowverse era. You know what? For new things to come, old things need to pass. And I think the Arrowverse, and by extension Superman and Lois, I think it's time it ended. And from what everybody's saying, and from that 10-minute thing I saw on YouTube yesterday, it looked like it ended really well and ended really beautifully. So it's time for a new era. And hopefully, the stuff we're going to get on Max will be more cinematic quality, cinematic budgeted, all that kind of stuff. And hopefully they can continue to tell some really, really great stories. I'm really excited about the Lantern series, so we'll see where they go. All right, what's next?
All right, 3 more. Anonymous says, great time for TV with Skeleton Crew and Creature Commandos premiering this week, both getting great reviews with 94% and 95% critic scores on Rotten Tomatoes, respectively. Love anything Gunn, so I'm hyped. Y'all tuning in for the 2-episode premiere on Thursday.
Yes. Yeah, again, not going to lie and say I'm excited, but it's a James Gunn thing. It's technically, really Superman is the start of the new DCU, but technically this is the first thing coming out. So I will absolutely be watching it on Thursday, and I hope it wins me over the way, Harley Quinn did. So here's hoping. All right, what's next?
Anonymous is wondering your thoughts of an end of an era. Oh no, I think we. Oh no, we read that. It just duplicated. So here's our last one here. You will disagree, but I'm Twilight Boy. You will disagree, but I'm sure on starting the God of War show at Game 4, a big part of the game's impact for me was actually seeing the monster Kratos was in 1 through 3 versus now. He killed all of Olympus, regulating that to I think he means relegating that to only mention doesn't feel right. So
100% feels right.
what? Wait a minute. God of War show at Game 4.
But you can do.
So was God of War not the first
flashbacks.
one? Were there others before that?
No, yeah. So the God of War, the one that we're kind of familiar with now,
Yeah.
and that they just called God of War, is not the first God of War.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Kratos, I mean, back when the games first came out, Kratos didn't have the beard. He was clearly much younger,
Yep.
Yeah.
all that kind of other stuff. So, but no, you don't go back. Well, we just want to see him killing those guys. So let's change the entire show. That's not a good way to approach it. I would say it's more like this. For a lot of people, like, first of all, the modern Game of War was my first introduction to Game of War. I was familiar with the other games, yes,
God of
but I
War,
never
John.
played them. Right?
Yeah.
And it did a great job of setting up. You know what I compare it to? Unforgiven.
Oh.
We never saw Clint Eastwood's character. When you watch Unforgiven, some people believe it's the greatest Western of all time. In Unforgiven, you never see the young Clint Eastwood going around and doing all those things that gave him the reputation that he had, but you knew it and you felt it. And that's all you needed to
Like
tell
John
the
Wick.
story.
Like John
Yeah,
Wick.
kind of like John Wick. Yeah, we never had to see John Wick doing the old things. We're going to see him do plenty of new things.
Yes.
It was good enough for us to find out through narrative and exposition that, hey, John Wick was this guy that was the Baba Yaga. Everybody's afraid of him. He did all these things. Great. We found all that out through exposition and narrative. Did that make the John Wick movie weak because it started where it started, not earlier? No, not at all. So I think this God of War, starting with the modern iteration, is the perfect place to start. We through exposition and narrative and flashback, you can tell all things you need to. But again, I think it's like Unforgiven.
And sometimes it's better to leave things to the imagination, right? Like if
Yes, 100%.
And this is the case. And also, it's good for the studio's budget too. For him to do all those killings, that's going to be expensive.
Well, guess what? He's got a lot of killing to do
Yeah.
with the modern one too. So,
But I do agree with the starting point of this series from what they're saying. Like, I think it makes sense.
all right, what's next?
Okay, we have members here.
All right, we're running a little bit late, but let's take a few member questions.
Yeah, not too many came through. Mean says it's that time of the season when I start watching and catching up on a lot of awards films. Has anyone seen these films yet? And if so, what are your thoughts? Honora, Amelia Perez, Conclave, A Real Pain, and Blitz. I want to see A Real Pain. I have seen Conclave.
Yeah, I finally saw Conclave. Loved it. I was late to the party. Still haven't seen Honora because it's not playing anywhere near me.
No.
But I just got invited to a Directors Guild screening for it at the Directors Guild thing on Friday, where I think the director and the producer and some of the cast
I
are going
love
to be
seeing
there.
stuff there.
Eat at the
Yeah.
Griddle next door.
It's so good.
Yeah,
You
love the
haven't seen
Griddle.
Honora, but you're married and Aura? Sorry. I just had
And
to.
Aura, yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah,
God.
yeah.
Let's end the show with that, baby.
Man, the hole in your pants is making the
And
jokes
that'll
flow.
do it for today's installment.
It's cold in here. Or it's cold down there.
All right. Brennan says, kind of random, but I'd love to see Steve Martin return for a Pink Panther 3. After seeing him in Only Murders in the Building, I'm craving more new comedy from him. Thoughts over getting a potential Pink Panther 3? I just don't think that was his best.
It never took off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no. I mean, listen, I thought Steve Martin being in a Pink Panther film was perfect, but I mean, I think most people today don't even remember those films. So I don't think there's any upside to doing one. I just want to see Steve Martin continue to do anything. I mean, that dude is so funny.
And I just want to hear that theme song. That was like one of my favorite things.
Bum-bum.
Dun-dun,
Bum-bum.
dun-dun, dun-dun,
And by the way, you know what Anna's never watched? Any of the Peter Sellers Pink
I
Panther
got-
movies.
Oh, they're so
Jeez.
fun.
So when we were at the most recent John Williams concert, they did this whole like 10-minute montage of music set to some classic scenes from Peter Seller. And Anne was laughing her ass off like for 10 minutes straight. She's like, how have I never seen any of these movies? Oh, I'm like, baby, you're in for a treat. Because
best.
some of these are so timeless
So
and so
good.
good. By the way, just speaking of Steve Martin, I know there are some of you who still not seen because it's a pretty old film at this point. But if you have not watched Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, that he does with Michael Caine, whatever you're doing later tonight, cancel your plans. Watch Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. It's
Watch
so good.
like all of Steve Martin's filmography. Go watch that. Go watch Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid.
Oh my
My
god.
God, that movie's brilliant.
Ah,
so many
yes.
good
All
ones.
Go
right.
watch that documentary on wherever that
Hulu.
is. Hulu.
It's so good.
Yeah, 3-parter.
All right. Last question of the day.
Okay, Peter says hi. Yeah, Peter says hi, John. Do you think the Alien franchise is heading in the right direction? The last movie felt like there's still more story to tell, and they will be.
Well, listen, I'll be honest with you. Before Alien Romulus, I thought the Alien franchise was dead.
Mm-hmm.
You know, straight up dead. But then along comes Alien Romulus, and I think it's the best Alien film since Aliens. So you can always come up with new stuff. You can always come up with new. And listen, Alien films are kind of becoming the new zombie films, right? When you break it down, all due respect to Shaun of the Dead and Train to Busan and stuff like that, but when you break it down, all zombie movies are the same. Like if you break it down to the core components, they're all the same, but some are better than others. And I think you can apply the same thing to alien films. Like, yeah, maybe at the end of the day, an alien film is an alien film. Oh, people come to this place and there's something not quite right about this place. And there's little traces of goo and, oh no, there's an alien, right? And then havoc and murder ensues. But you can do them great like Alien Romulus, or you can do them badly, just like zombie films.
They kind of did a skeleton crew, but a little bit older in Romulus, right? They got a younger.
Actually, that's not bad.
I mean, so if there's any horror franchises that are losing their touch, maybe you do a baby Michael Myers, a baby Freddy Krueger. That could work. I have no idea what I'm saying.
Baby.
I got a hold
Like
of my
Muppet
pants.
Babies, but
It's
for
like
horror stuff.
Muppet Babies.
All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. Again, big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported our channel as you did. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. So, for Ray Ora,
Brrr.
Jonathan Voico,
See you guys.
Chris Carr,
Bye, y'all.
my name's John Campea. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.